And YouTube.
I wonder who watches. Any kickback on the Board of Equalization?
Can you get that door, Seth? We locking people out?
You tried.
We'll call the June 26th meeting of the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners to order. Please stand for the flag pledge, led by Commissioner Kemp.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners meeting for this day, June 26, 2018. And we hope that the waters recede from all across our county and southern Minnesota. It's been an amazing month, over 10 inches of rain in some places of our area in this month of June. So we'll have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move it.
I'll second.
Kemp and Lipke, any additions to the agenda?
I do not have any additions.
Any corrections that we need to know about?
In your blue packets, you just have the findings of fact that are filled out for the planning and zoning.
All right. Any other comments regarding the agenda? If none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Very good. Today is a special day for us here in Nicollet County, as we will be welcoming Princess Kay of the Milky Way, Emily Annexstedt. Emily, if you could come forward to our dais there, and thank you so much for appearing in front of us. We've been wanting to see you since last August, as it turns out. But let me, if I could, just say that we know that you serve as Minnesota's Dairy Princess, wearing the title of Princess Kay of the Milky Way, Department of Agriculture contest that started almost 60 years ago. And I remember coming up to the state fair and seeing you there. We recognized each other and waved, and you were on your way to many other things. Tell us a little synopsis about your duties this past year, almost going on a year.
So as Princess Kay, I get to represent dairy farmers throughout the whole state of Minnesota, which is a pretty awesome opportunity. My reign kicked off at the state fair. I was there every single day talking to people in the dairy building or the moo booth or the all-you-can-drink milk stand. I did too many media interviews to count and gave speeches at different 4-H or dairy-related events throughout the fair. And since then, throughout the school year, I was busy with many different classroom visits and activities for kids. And this summer, I've been busy at breakfast on the farms. I went to my first county fair this Friday and different community events and parades. So any event in the community that I have the opportunity to go to or attend and talk about dairy and dairy farmers is something that I enjoy, and I'm thankful that I've got to spend the past year doing so.
You're a well-spoken young lady. 19 years old. Emily is from St. Peter. Now, you attend the University of Minnesota?
I do. I'm going to be a junior there in the fall. I'm studying animal science and agricultural communication and marketing.
Now, I saw your sculpted head made of butter. Do you get to keep that, or what happens to that?
We do. Each of the 12 finalists who has their head sculpted gets to keep that, as well as the scraps that are created when the sculptor is working on it. So we just used up the last of our scraps that we took home this summer, and I still have the sculpture in my basement freezer. So eventually I'd like to have a corn feed or something with it to share that with the community that supported me and use some of it up. But some of the other girls baked cookies for troops overseas or donated to food shelves or different events like that as well.
Well, very good. Any other commissioners have any questions for our Dairy Princess? If not, we'd like to ask Commissioner Drantle to come forward and join you in front as we...
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to ask her about her family and
Oh.
siblings and where your farm is. And
My farm is located just outside of St. Peter towards Northland, right off of 22. It was started by my grandparents, Carl and Lois Annixted, and now it's run by my parents, Ralph and Jean, along with my Uncle Mike, and my Uncle Eric helps out too. I have two younger brothers, they're twins. They just graduated from high school. They're both going to be freshmen at the University of Minnesota with me, both studying animal science in the fall.
Okay, good, thank you.
I'm
Yes.
glad you didn't say Wisconsin. Well, so this proclamation is recognizing June Dairy Month and Minnesota's dairy princess, Nicollet County resident Emily Annixted. Whereas dairy farmers, if you could come forward, whereas dairy farmers have contributed to the development and well-being of Nicollet County and Minnesota, and whereas the dairy industry is a major industry in Nicollet County and a significant contributor to the economy of our state, and whereas milk and dairy food provide health benefits and valuable nutrients, and whereas the 81st celebration of June Dairy Month highlighting the dairy industry is occurring now during June 2018, and whereas the young woman who serves as Minnesota's dairy princess wears the title of Princess K of the Milky Way, whereas Emily Annixted from St. Peter, Minnesota, representing Nicollet County, was crowned the 64th Princess K of the Milky Way on August 23, 2017, and whereas Emily Annixted is serving as the official Goodwill Ambassador for more than 3,000 Minnesota dairy farm families, now therefore be it proclaimed by the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners that June 2018 is designated as the celebration of June Dairy Month, and call upon all people of Nicollet County to recognize the importance of dairy in Nicollet County and Minnesota. Therefore, be it further proclaimed, the Nicollet County Board of Commissioners would like to recognize Minnesota Dairy Princess Emily Annixted for her leadership as an ambassador for the dairy industry in Nicollet County and all of Minnesota. Emily, we thank you. If I would have known, I would have asked you to bring some butter, but
Let us know when the sweet corn feed is.
Emily, how's Uncle Mike doing?
Good.
He's pretty well fully recovered from his accident then?
Yep.
thank you for your attendance and for your service. We were all made proud the day you were crowned, or that night, so.
Mr. Chairman, do we have another dairy princess in here today?
It was a long time ago.
Well,
She is, right. No, she was a dairy princess.
well, tell us who she is.
I was
Michelle
runner-
Schrader.
Oh,
I
Michelle.
was runner-up to Princess Kid Milky Way in 1999.
Okay.
Cool.
Nice to have you.
I represented McLeod County at the time.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
She improved her stealth. She moved to Nicollet County.
Don't hold that against her.
Introduction of new employees.
Seth, did you have, he's not here. Okay, okay.
That was a blank look.
So.
Nothing today. Mr.
Nothing
Chair.
today? I thought we had someone coming in. Consent agenda, you have that in front of you. The chair will entertain a
The
motion.
consent agenda.
I'll second.
Commissioner Kemp, Commissioner Lipke. Any questions about that? Concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Our next agenda item is from Mr. Tim Penny.
Hey,
Greetings, Tim. Thank you for being here.
Good morning,
appreciate the
Tim.
opportunity to present again to commissioners. I think I've got more than I need of these packets.
Nice to see you.
Uh,
Oops.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah,
Way
brought
too
more
many.
than you want.
There's yours.
Thank you.
And there's yours.
Thank you.
And I'll grab the one on the floor. This is the annual report for, yeah, look at that. The annual report for 2017. We'll be issuing our 2018 fiscal year annual report shortly. Again, I always appreciate the opportunity to present before you, give you an update on the work of the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. I want to start by thanking you for the partnership we've had through the years. Every county in our 20-county south central, southeastern Minnesota region do provide some level of financial support for our work. We raise about 10% of our budget locally from counties, cities, corporations, banks, and individuals, but we're bringing in $10 from outside resources for every dollar we raise locally, but the local partnership is important. We do three things. We help smaller towns create community funds, but here in your county, we don't have any community funds under our umbrella. St. Peter kind of takes care of its own needs through its own local funds. Nicollet is affiliated with another organization, but they've got a community fund, and we're happy for them. But we do have certain programs that we target at the smaller towns. We have a small town grant program that we'll be announcing. Actually, I think we just announced it, and the applications will come in throughout the summer. We'll make awards through that program later. It's really designed just to focus on the needs of smaller communities, and hopefully we'll get some applications from your county for that program. We also have the small town paint program, which is to be used for historic buildings, for welcoming signs, for murals, things of that sort that spruce up and help celebrate small town life. And we frequently get applications from your county for that paint program. Primarily, though, the bulk of our resources are expended on two areas of work. One is early childhood, because the needs there are enormous. If these kids don't come to kindergarten ready to learn, they often never catch up. So we know that there's a lot that needs to be done to address these early childhood needs. We're currently in the process of working with First Children's Finance to do a survey here across southern Minnesota to identify the challenges faced by communities of all sizes in terms of quality early childhood availability. We have a lot of demand and not enough slots, frankly. And the other thing is that most of our early childhood provision in southern Minnesota is being done not in centers, but in-home care, and we want to make sure that those folks are being the best providers that they can be. Accordingly, this partnership with First Children's Finance is going to lead to sort of a pilot program of sorts this fall. We'll announce it at our October luncheon, where we're going to select probably 5 communities, one larger community, a couple smaller communities, maybe one multi-town organization like a school district, to sort of give them facilitation and planning resources, as well as some limited grant dollars to address the unmet early childhood needs in these communities. And then we can share what we've learned in these different size communities with others, so it can help them sort of get their brains around what can we do to meet these early childhood needs. We also do on an ongoing basis what we call our Quality Child Care Training Program. It's business training and it's quality training to get them on the Parent Aware for School Readiness track. We have offered those trainings to a number of providers here in your county over time, and we're going to continue that program well into the future. And then annually, we have an early childhood provider conference that we host at Owatonna, which is kind of central to our 20-county region. We get well over 300 early childhood providers to come to that event. And in all of these training programs, including that October event, there are continuing education credits that these folks can receive to keep their licensure. So those are some of the ways we support early childhood. Most recently, here in your county, we continue to provide an AmeriCorps person to work at the Head Start set here. That alone is valued, well, it's like hiring an extra teacher aide in those classrooms, so you can put the price tag on what an employee would cost. But they focus on the kids that have the greatest social and emotional challenges, but there's also some literacy and reading readiness that goes along with how these folks work with the manager at the Head Start site. In addition, we've provided a grant to the county here for a dental network, where there's dental information that's being provided to early childhood providers within the county, and we work with Minnesota Valley Action Council on other as part of their academic work. And after they have their campus competition in the spring, we have a September competition where the Gustavus students can come and compete against students from other campuses, and we put some grant dollars behind these student entrepreneurs, and we hope that they grow their businesses here in southern Minnesota. We also partner a lot with Junior Achievement. We've helped give them some grants to take their entrepreneur company program to different high schools in the region. I know that they've been working with Nicollet to bring that program to Nicollet. We also work extensively with Region 9. I was just on their bus tour last week, and we were kind of farther west in the Region 9 area, but it's just that when it comes to lending programs, when it comes to economic development, when it comes to things like helping Medelia recover from that fire, we work hand in glove with Region 9 in a variety of ways. Most recently, we worked with them on the Local Foods Initiative because we think there's great potential for local foods here in southern Minnesota. And among the things we've done with Region 9 is for about a year, we shared an employee with them. I think that was about a year ago. And all I know about it is it's some sort of a spa, we're clearly looking for other opportunities to do some lending in your county. Years and years ago in North Mankato, we helped Angie and Dan with some early loans to get their business growing. Boy, they paid that off quickly, and as you know, it's a national brand now, Boom Chicka Pop. So I always say we played just a very, very tiny role. They're responsible for their own success, but I think at a critical stage, our small expansion loan was something that was helping them go to the next level. So we're always open to working with the county, the local EDA, the city here, local banks. So if you have business opportunities that you need a lending partner for, let us know. And we also have a
With respect to what Nicollet County, our small contribution, how that relates with the other counties, the other 19 counties, and do you have a formula? And obviously the counties can give more.
Yeah. We years ago tried to create a formula, and we just kind of set that aside. And so now it's really just a judgment call on the part of the counties as to what they think is a reasonable amount to donate. I think in the material I provided you, there should be, maybe not in the material you got. We try to inform each county kind of over time how many dollars we brought into the county in exchange for the donations we've received from within the county, from any cities within the county, any banks, any other. We know that you have, for lack of a better phrase, sort of non-governmental entities or nonprofit entities that you feel are important to support beyond your base budget, and we're honored to be in that mix and to receive whatever support you believe is reflective of the partnership that we try to bring.
Another question.
And if you want, I can give you, I could send you a summary of what we get from each county if you'd like. We do get a donation from every county in the region.
That would be good, because then we can compare it with other counties our size.
I think we gave $3,500 last year.
Yeah,
right?
I believe we had been giving $2,700 for several years, and I think 2 years ago we increased that by $500. So we're at 33, I believe now. But
okay, but that would be still nice.
Yeah, I can get you that, but it does vary, and we don't really pressure any county to give according to any kind of a population formula or per capita formula. We really just are grateful for whatever support we get.
Now, when you help a beginning entrepreneur with their business and stuff, and then they go national, do you find that those successful businesses thank you with donations periodically?
Many of them do. And in the case of Angie and Dan, they definitely are generous supporters of our foundation. And frankly, I will say, and I'm very grateful for this, that they are more than kind in terms of acknowledging the tiny little role that we played some years ago, because I try to be really modest about this. Their success has to do with a lot of other lenders that came into play and their own skill and acumen as business people. But they are more than generous in crediting us with helping them at a very pivotal time in their business growth. But yes, a good number of our loan clients do ultimately become donors back to the foundation, and we're happy to see that.
Now, I want to just make a point, one other question or comment, Jack, is that my wife and I, well, since my wife has been in childcare, educational things for many, many years, I've have a real concern about pre-kindergarten education for preschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the St. Peter School District has had a successful program for many years, and a lot of home daycares have a curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really great, because when the kids do get to kindergarten, it's so important that they've had some kind of educational or curriculum background and socialization. And of course, you have said that there's a backlog of kids because there's not enough slots.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question is that I'm grateful that you're in this area, and it would seem to me that we've got to get more facilities or opportunities for kids, especially when we talk about poor families or dysfunctional families or families that are on as clients of our human services, where it seems like the kids, if they've got broken homes, or if or both their parents are in trouble, because from a county standpoint, in the criminal justice system,
Yeah.
you see these families.
Yeah.
And it seems like these are the kids that really need this kind of thing, but it's hard to get them involved. It's hard to have programs for them. So
Yeah.
I want to just congratulate you on that effort for your organization in that area. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other
Sure.
comments? Commissioner Lipke?
Do all our small cities find out about these opportunities? Or you
We do the best we can.
Okay.
We've got a database of, city administrators, EDA directors. Every election cycle, we have to update our local elected official database, but we do the best we can to get the information out through social media or through email announcements. We also, send out for any of our programming press releases whenever there's a new grant being offered, etc. So I think we do a reasonably good job. As I said, a year ago, we decided to create this new small town grant program just to make sure that for the smaller towns in the region, those 5,000 and under, that there's a grant program available from us that's specific to towns of that size. So I think we do a reasonably good job of getting the word out to the smaller communities.
Do you work with any townships at all?
Once in a while, the most recent example of that would be the paint program, where, like Ashland Township in Dodge County, I had a historic building that they wanted to paint, and there are examples like that in various programs that we offer.
And the other thing is, thank you for all your political life. You're very well respected.
That was then. This is now.
As a rejoinder to that, Commissioner, I've known Mr. Penny since 1982.
When I walked into your radio station in Faribault.
Right. And Mr. Dean Curtis, who was a legendary farm broadcaster back at KDHL in Faribault, said, "You should meet this young man. He's a state senator from New Richland." And we hit it off right away. And I think you were the youngest state senator elected in Minnesota history, if I'm not mistaken.
Well,
but
close. Not quite. I was 24 at the time.
yeah, you were. Yeah. Now you're just a couple
Now
years
I'm pretty
older.
old, yeah.
But your service to the state and to the first or second district, whatever we're calling it now, is much appreciated. As we look forward, though, how do you see the future of organizations like Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation, Tim? And what will make what are their greatest
Yeah.
challenges, and what's going to make them continue to work?
Well, the first thing I will say is that let me start with your reference to the district that I served when I was in Congress. It's essentially the same geography as the district or the region that this foundation serves. So to me, this is very much an affair of the heart to work in this way, to bring resources and benefits to the same 20-county region that I served when I was in politics. Secondly, this work is really rewarding because every week we're getting something done. It may not be changing the world in the broad sense, but we're making a difference in communities across the region with our investments in economic development activities, early childhood activities, even things like the small town paint program. I mean, these things, they matter, and it's rewarding to get things done in a collaborative way. Actually, collaboration is part of our mission statement. It's the way we try to work, and that isn't necessarily the case in politics. Thirdly, I think for good or for ill, looking to Washington or even the state of Minnesota to solve our problems isn't working very well lately. So I think foundations like this and local governments like you are going to be far more important about getting things done that matter to our region than sitting and waiting for some solution or some help from the state or federal level. So I think that this work is not only important, but I think organizations like ours and other nonprofits are going to be a big part of addressing our needs going forward. And so I'm glad to be in that space and a partner in that effort. And again, if we were a larger foundation, we could invest in more areas, but I think we're smart with only $5 million a year to invest to kind of focus on 3 areas where we can be the most useful partner possible.
Well, I can tell why you don't miss serving in Congress. This is a much better fit, and probably, as you say, when you get things done, that is contrary to what's happening anyplace else in the world. So thank you again.
Mr. Chair, I'm just wondering if like Ryan could email this information to our 13 township boards about possible opportunities for them.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that'd be
Sounds
great.
like the cities are getting the information.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, because the small town grant program would be available to townships as well as cities, so keep that in mind.
All right.
All right, well, look, you've
Thanks very
got other
much.
things to get around to, so thank you for your time.
Tim,
Thank
thank
you.
you
Yeah,
for your
thank you.
service.
Thank you.
I'll ask Commissioner Kemp to take the next item.
We have, let me just stand by. Yes. First of all, we have any public appearances. Now is the time for those that are not on the agenda. If you have any item you would like to address the board with, you will have 3 minutes. Apparently we have none. Last call. And then we will continue on. We have our extension service agreement.
Luann, if you
Luann has. Good morning, Luann.
Morning.
Good morning.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you all. Should I wait for Jack?
No,
You can go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Okay. I'm Luann Hineker, the Regional Director for University of Minnesota Extension from the Mankato office. And our current memorandum of agreement for the contract of the 2 employees that you have in your extension office takes us through 2018. So now it's time to look at the 2019, 2020, and 2021 contract. This document was reviewed by the Association of Minnesota Counties. They formed a subcommittee, and I have provided you with a handout that describes that committee. They looked at cost of living statewide in all the counties and agreed upon a 2.2% for 2019, 2.0 for 2020 and 2021. The cost of living in 57 counties was averaged out that we had responses from. So that's where they came up. They had an average of 3.5 per year. The MOA funds are utilized by the university. 73% of all the funds go directly to salary. 20.4 goes directly to fringe. That leaves 6.3% that the university uses for all the other expenses of these staff contracts. These contracts include the staff salary, benefits package, mileage, meals, lodging, professional development, program staff supervision, that would include my time as well, university payroll, and then your connection to all of the curriculum and research-based programming from the University of Minnesota. So I have provided you a draft. The language in this contract has not changed. Nothing has been changed since the last 3-year contract that we had agreed upon. On page 2, table A, you have a half-time extension educator that you share with Sibley County, and you have a full-time 4-H program coordinator, a 1-point FTE. So the total for 2019 would be the 121,186, and then the other subsequent years are listed in the table. Again, these contracts are all inclusive. All of the cost for any searches, if we have to do any advertising or run a search committee for any position, the university assumes all that cost. That 6.3 that remains after we pay salary and the benefits covers not even all of the travel costs for our employees. So the university is very invested in these local positions. We need these local positions to do our work. And at this time, I'll open it up to questions. It's a standard agreement. As I said, the language is exactly identical to the past 3 years.
I would.
Any questions?
Thank you, Luann. I appreciate it, and thank you, Commissioner, for taking over the chair. I would ask Commissioner Drantle if she has an interest in making this motion, since both you and I are members of that committee, if when we move to that point.
And the Extension Committee did unanimously approve this contract, yes.
So let's do that at that point, then we can have questions.
I will move to accept the memorandum of agreement with the University of Minnesota on the extension services.
And Commissioner Kemp has seconded. Now let's open it up to questions. Any concerns to the motion of our relationship with...
Mr. Chair, I appreciate Luann's leadership and what the Extension Committee has done and what the department has done in Nicollet County. I'm just very supportive of our partnership with the university, and I think it's so important that we have a full-time 4-H coordinator rather than a half-time, because the youth program is so important, I think. So I just want to thank Luann.
Well, we did get a chance to meet Mr. Foley at our last extension meeting, and hopefully someday he will appear before us magically here.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing, I mean, if you look around the room, you can see that one of our 4-H members became a dairy princess of the Milky Way. Did you see that Emily is here?
Yes.
And we've honored her today, so that too is a feather in the hat of extension. Any other comments or questions to the motion to accept the memorandum?
Mr. Chair, the staff time, that's a separate support staff.
Right, that is a county support staff.
Okay.
And we have reduced that position this year, so there's some savings in our budget.
Because of the health insurance.
Mm-hmm. And we've got a great person. She's very efficient. Can't replace Lorna, but Lorna's been helping her a lot. So we're really geared up for fair. I think everything's going to go really smooth with Lorna's help. And David comes with tremendous experience. We will bring him to a board meeting and introduce.
That'd be great. Yeah.
And have a follow-up after fair and let you know how everything goes.
It appears he had a busy 4-H camp in the rain last week.
Yeah, the weather didn't agree with us, but you know, those kids are amazing. They don't
like
mind
they
a little
were
mud.
Busy all week.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
I'm good, Jack.
All right, let's call the roll on motion.
Yes.
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 Yes, carries. Luann, thank you again.
Thank you for your time and for all your support. I
We
appreciate it.
appreciate the partnership.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving ahead on the agenda. Property Services. John, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
So I have 3 requests for your consideration today. The first item is the request of applicant MR Paving and Excavating and property owner Timothy Cohn for a 3-year review of their conditional use permit for mineral extraction. This site is located in Cortland Township and is zoned conservancy. The mine was first permitted in 2015. It's expected to operate through 2020, depending on demand for product. The operation mines, crushes, and stockpiles gravel on site. The mine consists of a total of 8 acres, 6 of which are being actively mined, and then there are 2 acres left over for staging and stockpiling. No blasting occurs on the site. Roads are treated with calcium chloride or water to control dust. The public comments, we did not receive any for this request, and there was no public testimony during the hearing as well. After due consideration, the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Mr. Chair, staff seeks a motion to approve the request in the attached findings of fact.
You've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to that effect?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Lipke, Commissioner Stenson, questions?
Mr. Chair, is this the pit directly alongside Highway 14?
Correct, yeah, it's on the south side of Highway 14.
Okay. Gotcha.
Any other comments or questions to the motion?
Is there a pit behind that too, further south?
There are a couple pits to the west, and then there's a planned pit to the east that hasn't been opened yet.
All right, thank you.
And just help me to remember the gravel tax,
Aggregate?
the aggregate, so what are the percentages that come to the township and then to the county on that? Who knows that off the top of their
They
head?
each got 37.5%?
It's in the 30s.
Mandy, do you know? Do you remember?
Not off the top of my head. I can look it up too. I think it's 30.
Our neighbors in the Sewer County have a lot of gravel, and we receive a lot of revenue from it.
I think
And
you
the
want to
townships
rephrase
too.
that. Minerals.
I'm sorry?
Aggregates and minerals.
Minerals, right.
It's very helpful for Cortland Township because they have a lot of bad roads to maintain.
We'll get that information and Mandy can share it with the board. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
As opposed, it carries. Number 2.
Yes, so the second request comes from applicant property owner Pigmaker Incorporated
A great name.
For a conditional use permit to expand an existing swine feedlot. This site is located in Lafayette Township. It's zoned agricultural preservation. The expansion includes a 35 by 56 foot addition to an existing total confinement swine barn. The expansion also includes an increase in the number of animal units. The total feedlot capacity would increase from 589.5 animal units to 820 animal units. The increase in animals will be accommodated both within the addition and also within the existing barns on site. There was no public testimony during the hearing. We did receive one comment from neighboring landowner Al Schmidt, who commented that he did not have a problem with the proposal. After due consideration, the Commission voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Again, staff seeks a motion to approve the request and the attached findings of facts.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to expand the existing swine feedlot for Pigmaker Incorporated. Any questions for John? Any comments? Marie, you weren't able to make that meeting because you were at equalization,
There's
right?
equalization upstairs, yeah.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries.
So the third and final item is the request of applicants and property owners Jason and Michelle Schroeder for a conditional use permit to establish a swine feedlot. I would note the applicants are in the audience today. The feedlot will consist of a 122 by 196 foot total confinement barn. The barn would have an 8 foot deep underfloor concrete manure storage area. The feedlot will have a total capacity of 900 animal units, or 3,000 swine weighing between 55 and 300 pounds. In order to meet the 99% odor-free rating for the city of Cortland, the applicants intend to employ biofilters. And the applicants have been working on the design of the biofilters with Dr. Aaron Cordes. Dr. Cordes is an assistant professor and extension engineer with the University of Minnesota. And Dr. Cordes has verified that the proposed biofilter design would decrease the odor emissions from the farm by 26%. We received no public comments and there was no testimony at the hearing. After due consideration, the Commission again voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. We seek a motion to approve the request and the attached findings of fact.
I'll move to approve that also.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If we can have the Schraders just come forward, I may have a question for you. Thank you, John. And a
Good
junior
morning.
Schrader, too.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for having us.
Just like to, if we could, just talk to me about the biofilter and how that's going to work.
I'll let Jason answer most of those questions. He's been working closely with Dr. Cordes on that.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. We worked with Dr. Aaron Cordes, extension engineer at the University of Minnesota, and what the biofilters are to get a 26% odor reduction on our barn. All the sidewall fans will be run, so it'll be 12 fans total, 6 on each side of the barn, and it'll be directed through a biofilter. And in layman's terms, basically we have a wood chip bed that the air is directed through, and it'll flow underneath the biofilter and then rise up, and the microbial activity will work to reduce the odor from the barn.
This is a diagram.
And this has been researched by University of Minnesota, Iowa State. There's a lot of research on biofilters, and we're just following the recommendations.
So, and thank you very much. The pit underneath the barn is 8 feet deep?
That is correct.
Okay. And so how long does that remain there?
Till it fills up.
The life of the barn.
The life of the barn?
Yeah, it's a concrete storage. Let me speak to the mic so it can be recorded. The pit will be there for the life of the barn, and it's engineered with an engineer, INS, out of Mankato. And it has rebar. It's built by contractors that have done this for 30 years or so. And in our process of going through this process, we've asked numerous times, are there concerns, are there questions, do we ever have to be concerned about the length, the strength of the concrete pit? And the only thing that we were told is the only concern we will have to have is if we ever have a fire, the fire can destroy or disintegrate the concrete. But we've asked those questions numerous times. If there's any time we need to be concerned about the integrity of the concrete pit.
Other
What
questions?
I'm also handing out is an engineered plan of what the barn will look like, and it shows the biofilters in orange.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
How
Commissioner.
many months of manure can you hold?
It'll be a year storage.
And just a comment that when the Schraders are early in this process, they went around to the neighborhood and handed out information about their plans, which I think is very good, a good idea.
Thank you.
Well, it looks like you have a family business going here. If this young man is an indication of what you have coming forward.
And that's one of the reasons we're trying to diversify our farm and plan ahead for the next generation. Currently, we have a dairy and crop operation, and we're just looking to diversify.
The information sheet I just handed out, it states Schrader Hogs LLC in the top. We did something very similar for our neighbors as we went through this process. Now we have updated it for the planning and zoning hearing and also for this meeting today with more pertinent information. You'll see on it, it notes information about us. You're also probably wondering why is the Dairy Princess building a hog barn. I was also a pork ambassador, and I have done hog tours. I've also helped a sow deliver piglets. So we have a little bit of experience. More so, we both have animal science degrees from the University of Wisconsin, River Falls, and the University of Minnesota, St. Paul campus. On there, you'll note that we are implementing the biofilters, as we mentioned, wet-dry feeders to help with conserving water, and we're also going to be using eye fans to help conserve electricity.
Just a side note, Mr. Chair, Michelle received the well-coveted Service to Agriculture Award last year.
And I updated the sheet to reflect that now.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to reinvest in our county and the community as a whole, and I'm very, very impressed. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It means a lot because you're the next hope for our county and our community. So it's a big deal. Thanks so much.
Another side note, the Schraders happen to live on the township road that is getting all the traffic now at number 12.
That is correct, and maybe we'll come and visit with you about that on another day.
Well,
We
it's,
have 3 small children.
Yes.
I understand.
It's good to see youthful entrepreneurs like yourselves, and I'm glad you're here today. I'm glad you were willing to stand to take our questions.
And we're welcome to take any other questions. We do plan to have an open house. At this, we don't know when. We're guessing late October, beginning November, but we don't know. It depends on how the contracting or the contractors, everything comes together, the building comes together. But we do plan to have an open house, and you're all welcome to come and attend.
Any other questions to the motion in front of us or for the Schraders themselves? Lynette, please call the roll.
Lipke?
Yes.
Kemp?
Yes.
Benson?
Yes.
Rantle?
Yes.
Fuller?
Yes, carries. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
John, thank you. Do you have anything else that you'd like to bring before the board? Okay.
Mr. Chair, did you want to know the percentage of the aggregate tax?
Yes, if you could.
42.5% to the county, 42.5% to the township, and then 15% to restoration, reclamation of pits.
Okay, and that is held by our county
Correct.
and,
Then distributed, and we can retain up to a 5% administrative fee.
right. We thought it was 37.
I thought it was 37.
42.
5 off. I
Well,
think some counties do that, 37.
Right.
That's maybe where I got that in my
okay.
head.
Thank you, Madam
Just a
Attorney.
message for the Schraders, feel free to come to Lafayette tonight. The county comprehensive plan is at the community center at 6 o'clock. Commissioner Kemp will be there.
Are you coming, Commissioner?
No, I'm gonna be on a plane.
Oh, another assignment.
Yeah.
Fact-finding mission.
Fact-finding mission. back there.
International, see if the Canadians like me or not.
Well, if you're back next day, we'll know things went bad.
All right, we'll call the Drainage Authority meeting to order. Need a motion for
Move the consent agenda.
consent agenda. There's Commissioner Kemp has moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Lipke, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Good morning.
Good morning. Just a couple items from the Drainage Department today. The first one in your packet will be the permanent removal of a ditch crossing on County Ditch 8, Lake Prairie Township. This ditch crossing is no longer needed. The land has switched hands, and there's different landowners on both sides of the ditch, so they no longer want the old crossing that is in there. And you have the form attached where they have both signed off requesting zero compensation and would just like the crossing removed.
Move it.
Commissioner Kemp has moved the removal form. Is there a
I'll second.
second? Commissioner Lipke, discussion? Any questions?
Get her done.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Thank you.
The next item would be ditch repair 18-009. This is just a typical tile repair. I just didn't put it on the consent agenda because there's another item I wanted to talk about. So, county tile intake is plugged and landowners requesting a ditch system repair the broken tile.
All right, you've heard the report. Is there a motion?
I'm sorry.
Did you move?
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Drantle, Commissioner Kemp, discussion.
Was there more that you wanted to address on this issue, or?
The next ditch repair.
Okay.
Any other questions to the motion in front of us on 18009? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries.
The next ditch repair is on County Ditch 86A, repair report 18-010. This will be addressing the annual maintenance fee that Tim Weibel is paid per year for taking care of the pumps, any type of maintenance and repairs, turning them on and off, just a pump caretaker fee. In years past, he's been paid $2,000 per year, and he is now requesting that be increased to $3,000 per year.
What's your recommendation?
The amount of time that I see Tim down there and working on this with his two sons, I don't think we would find too many other people that would do it for $3,000. So with the pumps decreasing in their efficiency and they're kind of falling into disrepair, he spends an incredible amount of time down there just maintaining them and working on them. So the ditch system, in my opinion, is getting at a good deal
for him being down there taking care of all
I
this.
assume at some point that number will decrease if the improvement to 86A is done.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. Move it.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Commissioner Lipke is abstaining from this particular item.
I will second that.
Commissioner Duranto is seconding. Comments, questions to the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Do you have any other items that you'd like to bring before the Drainage Authority?
That's all I have today.
Thank you, Nate.
All right, then we'll adjourn the Drainage Authority meeting. Thank you for your report.
Could I have a question for Nate?
Regarding drainage?
Thistles.
Sure, John, I know you like thistles.
How's the thistle control going?
It's an ongoing battle.
Well, I haven't got any complaints for a week or two, so.
Well,
that's
they're all
good.
underwater, that's why.
No, there's a lot out there, but people are trying to take care of them, so. Working with townships and MnDOT to keep up with it.
Okay, thank you.
Seth, would you have a moment to give us an update on where we are with roads underwater and construction season?
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. We took an elevation shot of the water level on County Road 12 yesterday, and from a week before this last Monday till this Monday, the water's increased approximately 5 more inches. So at the deepest point at the center line of the road, there's about 18 inches of water. And so they forecast more rain, so I'm anticipating that that water level to continue to rise. I was looking at a report from the National Weather Service, and they had a map created that was looking at what the historical or what normal precipitation for the last week of the third week of June was, and what precipitation we actually received. And this area that feeds this area in the Minnesota River Basin receives 600% of normal precipitation. So that's the type of spring and summer that we're having, and it looks like it's going to continue. So.
Well, Bob Fox from Renville County, I saw him last Friday at the AMC board meeting, and he asked if we wanted him to build a dam at Morton, and I said sure, but I don't think you're going to get it done in time because that's coming down to Minnesota big time, and other tributaries, obviously.
Yeah. Stonebrook Engineering, the firm that we hired to start working on plans and specifications for the reconstruction of 12. They are anticipated to start their topographic survey work either today or tomorrow. One of the first items they'll be looking at is trying to find what that exact natural runout elevation for the Kister Slough Basin is. And once we know that, that gives us a good idea of exactly how high we would anticipate raising the road through that reconstruction project.
Is there any damage that's being done to the roadway itself while it's underwater, or is that negligible?
You don't have water flowing over the road, so the issues of severe erosion or losing the entire road bed is minimal to none.
Right.
But you never like your road base and everything to be completely inundated with water either.
So there's likely fish swimming from one side to the other.
Yep. Yep. Survey work will be much easier because they'll be using a boat to take elevation shots of the bottom of the pond, and they'll be able to just paddle right across the road. They won't have to portage their boat across the road. They'll just paddle across and shoot the other side, and that'll be much more efficient and cost less money.
Aside from 12, are there any other issues along any other township or county roads that are being impacted by the heavy rains, the flooding?
I'm not aware of any township roads that have received damage, but our county roads are faring well. Whenever we get heavy rains, our bottom roads always take a lot of sediment and whatnot. The ditches fill up, so there'll be a significant amount of ditch cleaning that we'll have to do this summer to get those sediments removed.
How about the park between St. Peter and North Mankato?
Flooded again. The east side is
closed.
flooded. Yep.
Right?
Yep. That's just the ongoing issue, it seems.
Can folks still use the west side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Speaking of roads, County Road 21, where all those trees were cut, has that been negatively affected, or hasn't it really made any difference?
Are you talking the Nyers
Yeah.
property? We have ongoing issues with the Nyers property, not necessarily from where the trees were removed, but his eastern main access point and the water that comes out of his property always brings a significant amount of sediment, and so that's always an ongoing issue to remove that.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Stenson, and then John.
With respect to 12, I'm assuming the DNR doesn't care what happens. I mean, the water goes up and they're not really they're not really worried about our road. Our road is our road, and they're not in a position to assist us anyway.
Well, I wouldn't say that they don't
say that.
care.
Well, what's their attitude about this?
Well, they were with us.
They were at our workshop.
Yeah, they were at the workshop.
What was their comment? I'm sorry.
It's a long
about that.
process.
Acceptance, sure.
Well, they were going to start doing, hopefully soon, survey work to establish an ordinary high water elevation for the basin, as they don't currently have one of those. And when they look at managing a basin, state statute talks about how they permit to the ordinary high water mark. So that's kind of their first step, is to set that, and then they will be looking at possible management of the basin in coordination with Ducks Unlimited, and that will require a more extensive survey to feed into a feasibility study to see if they can manage that basin with a lower water level for better duck habitat.
Okay,
But that
so-
process will take some time, and there's nothing that guarantees that an actual management plan will come out of it or be implemented.
So, if we have engineers looking at at a suggestion to raise the height of 12, will that information coordinate with the high water mark that the DNR would set? I mean, if the DNR sets a high water mark, then we gotta make sure our engineers understand what that approximate number is, so you build the road higher.
Well, the key elevation will be the natural run out elevation of the basin. How high does the water have to get before it starts
So
naturally
that
running
should be
out?
the same number as the high water mark, right?
Not necessarily.
Not
Nope.
necessarily.
Nope.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner Stenson, is that all?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was covered fairly well, and I was impressed with what DNR was saying to us at our last meeting at the workshop. You know, that they're looking to see if they can help as much as they possibly can.
My understanding was that high water mark really has nothing to do with, where the water would flow out.
No.
So that is nothing you would consider in
No.
building a road.
No.
That's a management issue.
Yeah.
Commissioner Kemp.
I just had a question with our contract for the County Road 10 past Bernadette Church. Is that going to be delayed because of the weather, or are they proceeding as normal?
Contract required the contractor to start work on June 25th, so yesterday.
Okay.
Of course, it was a little bit too wet, so they didn't work. Utility contractor, though, was out there starting their work on utility relocations. I had not had a report yet from my staff this morning, but as of yesterday, the contractor was planning on starting their pulverization and reclamation of the existing bituminous surface and underlying aggregate base. So it was fairly sunny this morning. Didn't look like too much rain was coming. I anticipate they probably have started that work, and so they will continue progressing with the work as the weather dictates. But yeah, things are very saturated out there.
Okay. Thank you.
I appreciate your being here to report to us. It's timely, and we thank you. Do you have anything else to add?
Work continues, or we're hoping we'll resume on our bituminous overlay projects with the constant Rain threat, it seems, just about every day. Not much of any progress has been made on that. SMC also has obligations to the Highway 14
Right.
project on the bypass of Mankato, so they're tied up with that, and so they're trying to bounce between both projects. And with the rain all the time, that's significantly delayed our overlay project.
It's frustrating, yes.
Yep.
Seth, thank you for your work.
Yep, you're welcome.
Administration, Mr. Crush.
No items today, Mr. Chair.
Well, thank you. You're just back from a
I've been-
short vacation.
I've been on assignment.
On assignment,
Commissioner.
yes, I'm sorry,
Commissioner
that's,
Stenson has to.
Mr. Stenson?
Mr. Chair, I have a question for him and Heather. I see that in the bills, we paid out 70% to the townships and the cities. When do we pay out the money to the state of Minnesota on commercial and industrial? And how much would that be?
That would be a Jackie question, unless you know off the top of your head. Yeah. We'll have to ask Jackie when that settlement occurs. I would assume real soon here.
Okay.
We can get that number.
Okay.
All right, moving along on the agenda, because I think we've got ice cream coming today because of our dairy princess, so want to make sure that everybody stays around for that, media included. So, any other informational items? I'll give the quick chair's report. I'm sure it's been busy for everyone, except those who've been on assignment. June 14th, I was attending the Highway 22 meeting in Mankato, which talked about what was going to be happening all the way out coming into St. Peter. On the 15th, Commissioner Lipke and I were at the Minnesota Social Services legislative breakfast in Mankato to hear what was accomplished and what wasn't at the St. Paul Capitol this year. Ditch meetings on the 18th, Minnesota Valley Action Council on June 18th, and the Board of Equalization on June 18th. We had our county board workshop on the 19th where we discussed many of these items related to County Road 12. Also that evening, several of us attended the County Comprehensive Plan in North Mankato. Our TDS board, the Traverse des Sioux Library Board, is on a traveling tour this summer. We went to Winnebago last Thursday, and we're getting to see the smaller libraries as we move around the state. Attended the state AMC board meeting last Friday in St. Paul, and I hope you had all received my email about the recap of that meeting. And the MTRAC meeting was held yesterday, and I'll share information with the administrator for distribution to board members at the end of this meeting. Commissioner Drantle?
Since my calendar is over there charging on the electrical plug-in, I'm going to wing it. I attended the equalization meeting with everyone else that night, board workshop. I hit both of the comprehensive plan meetings, both the one in North Mankato and the one here last week, and plan on attending in Lafayette this evening. Last Wednesday was Region 9's annual meeting. I didn't make the bus tour because I've been everywhere else, but I was at the annual meeting. This week is the Lafayette meeting and the Brown Nicollet conference call.
And you were at Rush River.
Yeah, I forgot about that. I was there. John had trouble finding it, but I was there.
Yeah. Commissioner Kemp?
Ditching, South Central EMS, we're doing some special projects with them that I'm on the subcommittee for. Our Joint Powers Board meeting with regard to workforce, I forwarded some information. Proud to say that as of May, the Nicollet County is the lowest unemployed rate in the state, which was kind of neat. And we continue to be, that's 2 months in a row actually. So we're seem to be doing well there. Department head meeting, board workshop. Obviously we were at the equalization committee together, and I also, it is my intent to be present at all of the comprehensive plan public meetings. I've been with most of you at either of the two that have already preceded this, but will be in Lafayette tonight, as my good friend Commissioner Lipke will be unavailable. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Lipke?
Yeah, went to the Rush River meeting Apparently, a person should read the whole email and not just see that it says service center, so you go to the right service center. I went to the wrong one first. Social services breakfast with Jack, ditch 86 hearing, board equalization, the rest of you. The workshop and comprehensive plan in North Mankato, went to the Greater Mankato Growth lunch the other day, it was very interesting. And I went to the Regional Soil and Water Conservation District meeting, which was in Cortland, which was quite convenient.
As you can tell, commissioners have been very, very busy with meetings. Commissioner Stenson.
Oh, I was on assignment, and I'll give a full report on the flood situation of the Shoshone River as it goes through Cody.
Okay.
Wyoming.
Cody, Wyoming.
Yeah, it's the highest it's been in many, many years.
Well, at least it's not coming this way.
Right. No, it's not. It's heading to the Missouri River.
Well, welcome back. We're glad that you fulfilled your assignment on location. Approval of commissioner meetings and conferences. We've all been made aware that the December annual meeting is set, and you can talk to Ryan or to Lynette about getting your confirmation. I think she's already worked on that for some of us, or maybe all of us, I can't remember. I will mention that the NACO meeting is in July. Both Ryan and I were in Nashville. We're planning on being there, but other meetings have come up. But next year, Commissioner Jim McDonough from Ramsey County is on the state board. Many of you have met him. You sat with him at a couple of events. And he's running for second vice president. And we're going to be in Clark County, Nevada in July of 2019. So
translates into Las Vegas.
It's called Clark County, Nevada. Yes.
100 degrees,
100 degrees. It's a warm heat. They're
But
dry
I would encourage folks to consider, so we could support Mr. McDonough's candidacy at that particular event.
So a year from this July?
Yeah, it'd be July 11th through the 14th, I think, John.
10,000 county officials in Las Vegas, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Jack, the last time we had a Minnesota officer be president was?
Colleen Landcamp.
Colleen Landcamp.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, and she was the national president,
Right.
I think, so.
Also,
Okay.
there was the planning at Arrowwood. We should talk about that because I see there was a grant for a opiate.
Oh, yes.
Session came out of the material you sent, Jack.
That's correct. I can't recall.
I want to say the 12th, 13th, and 14th of September.
Right, it's at Arrowwood. I'm trying to think of the sponsoring.
Well,
It might have been Pfizer.
Yeah, it was. There was also a pharma group that also right.
Pharma,
yeah.
right. So 12th, 13th, 14th of September.
Yes.
I'm just looking on my calendar, Denny.
Just make people aware of it because that was recently added was the 12th for the opiate sit down. So
Correct.
that might be very helpful for
Yeah.
some that are involved heavily in that. I know Michelle.
September
is
12th,
been
13th,
active in that,
14th
so.
in Arrowwood, Michelle. I don't know where that puts you in terms of your court dates, but it may be an interesting to look at. So thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that up. Any other meetings or conferences? Just to note, as we go forward in our budget, Commissioner Kemp and I are on the budget committee this year. We'll be starting that, Ryan, in August, and I'm looking at the dates 8, 9, 13, 14, 15, 16, 18, and 30 so far, is the way it looks.
The 30th would be the full board.
Right.
The other ones are just Commissioner Kemp and Commissioner Kohlers and Heather and myself meeting with department heads.
On the 16th, if we're meeting in the morning, that morning, we should be done by noon maybe. Because I've got an AMC board meeting in Duluth that afternoon, or I have to head to Duluth that afternoon. So if I couldn't be there, would it be Commissioner, who could take my spot?
Yeah, we'll find somebody.
Find someone?
To
Okay.
fill in.
All right. Chair will entertain a motion to approve per diems and expenses.
So moved.
Second.
Litkey and Kemp, comments, questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Michelle, do you have anything from the attorney's office today that you'd like to share?
I do not.
Okay.
Nice to be back to full strength, kinda.
Yes.
Jamie, Heather, Jessica, anything that you'd like to share? Okay. Anything else from any commissioners before we have ice cream?
I want to make one comment after we adjourn.
I'm sure you'll make at least one comment after you adjourn. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.